What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we're going to talk about our favorite Disney shill, Scott Mendelson of Forbes himself. Now, obviously, I'm not in my normal setup. I am in Atlanta, Georgia. Gonna have a big surprise for you guys on tonight's live stream. Can't wait for you to see that. That's at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So be on the lookout for that. But let's talk about Scott. Oh, Scott Mendelson. He wrote an article. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this article. I'm sure many of you have done the same thing I did with this article. I laughed a lot. Why? Because it's a complete joke. Scott is he's reaching for anything at this point. This was a pre-planned article because they knew Solo was going to fail. He figured it out. He was shilling so hard, trying to pretend that it was going to be a big hit, but they knew deep down inside this thing was going to fail, and he already had a pre-planned article set up just so he could continue to virtue signal and let everyone know that the white man is evil. So if you're not familiar with this article, which I'm sure most of you are, the title of this article is "As Solo, a Star Wars Story Flops, Are Movies About White Men Box Office Poison?" Now, you would think I would be upset about this article being written, and I'm not, but I'm not. I absolutely am not at all, because this continues to give myself credibility and everyone like me credibility. What it does is it continues to give common sense more credibility. And I'm not sure why common sense needs more credibility, but that's where we're at in 2018, because common sense is in short supply. But the more people like Scott Mendelson write stupid articles like that, which is a pure comedy piece at this point, it's a pure comedy piece. He cherry-picked so hard. Notice he didn't mention the Ghostbusters 2016 reboot. Notice he didn't mention any of those. I don't recall Infinity War being mentioned. Pretty sure that's made $2 billion, and pretty sure that was white male leads in it. It's just such a joke. They're so pathetic right now. They are reaching for anything. Do you know any Scott Mendelson fans? Really? Because I don't. I don't know any Scott Mendelson fans. I don't know any Scott Mendelson supporters. The guy's been in the business for a long time. He writes for a major publication, and nobody takes him seriously. Seriously, like, I'm sitting here recording on my smartphone, and I have more supporters than Scott Mendelson. More people would sit there and claim to back me and my opinions passionately than would back Scott Mendelson. This is the level these guys are at now. They realize that they are not taken seriously. So the only thing they can do now is write comedy pieces. It's a pure comedy piece. He's a comedian. So what do we do with comedians? We laugh at them. So next time you see an article from Scott Mendelson or whatever, you point and you laugh. That's what you do. Do not take him seriously, because he should not be taken seriously. He's a comedian. Don't show that you're upset about what he's doing. You shouldn't be, because he's so irrelevant. He doesn't deserve a passionate response from you unless it is in a laughing manner. That is it. Don't get mad, don't get upset, don't get offended, because Scott is a comedian. So please, as comedians like, laugh at him. Point and laugh, because that is all he deserves, because he's a comedian. It's a complete joke, and I love it.
You serious?
I almost want to thank him for writing this article, because it is so ridiculous. And the problem is even though he is a comedian and he should be laughed at, Scott might actually be taking this seriously. Scott thinks we need less white males. Well, if we need less white males, Scott, then why don't you be the first to do that? Why don't you step aside and let a person of color or a female or some non-white guy take your job? Be the difference you want to see. Set the example, Scott. Set the example for all of us. How dare you get paid, you evil white male? How dare you get paid for a job when there are qualified people of color, qualified women, or maybe they're not qualified, but it doesn't matter if they're qualified, right? All that matters is they're not a white male, and you You don't want to see white males in paid positions because they are box office poison. Maybe they're editorial poison too, Scott. Why don't you be the difference you want to see? Set an example for all of us, Scott. Show us how the white man doesn't deserve to have any paid positions. Go ahead, Scott. Since as long as you have a job, as long as you're getting paid and there's an unqualified person that's not white that doesn't have that job, then you are not doing justice. So instead of virtue signaling, instead of writing the articles preaching about the things you want to see, why don't you just be the difference that you want to see? So Scott Mendelson, right now here on YouTube, I, Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, am asking and pleading with you. I just want you to put your money where your mouth is. I want you to give up your job as a writer with Forbes, and every white person that's ever written or said an article or even just got on social media and made these claims that we need less white dudes. I want you to give up your job for anybody that's not white. I don't care if they're qualified. I don't care what they do. I just don't want them to be white, and I want them to replace you. Can we do that, Scott? Why don't you do that? Do that. Do the world a favor. Show the world that we need less white men. For some reason, I don't feel like you're going to do that, Scott. For some reason, I don't feel that you actually believe the nonsense that you write about. It's almost like you're a comedian. So instead of taking you seriously, we're going to laugh at you, Scott, because you are a complete joke. You guys have a great day. I'll see you on the live stream. Talk to you later.